What's up, gang, and welcome to another episode of Inspired By, a series where we look at the musical trends, past and present, to understand the techniques used so that you guys can make better music. My name's Will, and I make a plethora of music under the moniker Hush Child. Today we're looking at the music behind the conscious rap playlist Mind Right. This is a playlist featuring Westside Boogie, D Smoke, Coat of the Friend, Nas, Marlon Craft and more. I started doing my research and I realized that there's a familiar sound that comes with a lot of these tracks that feature on the playlist. So why not do a video on creating a track similar to that sound and try and help some of you guys out. Hopefully in this video you'll find a couple of techniques that helps you get that lo-fi degraded sound that makes all your samples and MIDI sit together in one song and sound like it was sampled off of a live record. Let's not waste any time, let's jump into it. So this is a really quick demo track that I've based upon the sounds of the Mind Right playlist on Spotify. I listen to it quite often, and with 1 million followers, I'm sure some of you do as well. So my guitar, this swell layer, and the piano actually come from another project, which I'm going to show you now, and then I'll jump back into this project. Okay, so this was the first Ableton project with the guitar in it, and it sounded exactly the same. Just had an EQ on the guitar and a glue compressor to bring it all together. I just got it from Splice, chopped it up, popped these higher notes on the top so it would, kind of just hide where the loop occurred a little bit. And every now and again, just putting this little twiddly riff here. Again, just to kind of hide that bar line a little bit. Underneath, just using a Serum preset, some swelly chords. It's kind of a replacement to having like a Rhodes or something there. The Haas effect, again, if you've seen my previous videos, you can use sample delay, of course. Just makes it a little bit wider, takes it away from the central marking where the kick, the snare, the vocals, the bass is going to sit. And then just took out any of the low rumbles with the EQ8 there, just so I've got, again, somewhere that my bass can sit. Then I wanted to have an element that sounded like a sampled piano. Couldn't really find any samples on Splice, so why not just play it yourself? Took this upright piano from the new Ableton 11 packs, added a little bit of plate reverb, and then just took out any of the muddy frequencies that I didn't like with the EQ8. Completely subtractive EQ there, I'm not adding anything. Here's the 0 line. And I end up resampling and repitching this in the project you just saw as well, just to keep it more in keeping with the sound and the key of the project we're about to jump back to. So coming back into this project, you'll notice that there's actually 4 guitar tracks. That's because one is my main guitar sample. We're just adding a little bit of RC20 to give it that kind of sample vinyl feel with the wobble here. I've taken out some highs, added a little bit of distortion and a little bit of magnetic here. Kept it completely central with the width, but added a little bit of tone. With Fresh Air, I'm just bringing out any of that noise that's heard in the sample. If you listen to the sample in this project, you can kind of hear the crickets and the bird sounds, and that's what I really like. So I just used this free Fresh Air plugin to just bring out some of those sounds that you'll hear in the sort of 10+K. And then again, completely subtractive EQ here, just taking out any frequencies that I didn't like in that mid region, and then adding a compressor only on this layer so that when the kick is heard, the sound ducks. So you'll notice from here, we start ducking with the kick, and that just adds another new element to the song, but again, very subtle, and subtleties is going to be the key to this video. On our mid guitar layer, it is what it says on the tin, same as it was before, but I've just scooped out all of the lows, all of the highs, keeping this sort of 500 to 5,000 region where we can just hear the guitar in the mids. Going to be a great introduction to the song for the vocalist to get down that first verse without the listener being overloaded by all the instruments that are about to dive into the song. Underneath this, I've got low guitar, which again is the subtractive EQ with just all of the highs rolled off. And notice neither the mid guitar or the low guitar have that sidechain compression on it. Finally, right at the end with the guitar verb shot. So I've just added the Valhalla vintage verb so I can just have a little bit of a guitar tail that goes past the bar line and just fades into the distance as we go into the last part of our song. Just lovely. Nothing has really been added to the swells apart from a little bit of EQ, and then the piano, as I mentioned, I've just chopped it up to make it sound a little bit more sampled. And I've just added OTT here to get rid of any low rumbles, the mids, the frequencies that I didn't like. It was important that the song have a really brief introduction, and I'm hearing a lot of kind of voicemail cassette tape introductions with spoken word. So I just tried to replicate that, resampled my instruments above. So you want to get a new track and you want to turn on resampling, and then you can just record in these instruments to this new track and then process it. So I recorded the melody and used RC20 to just make sure that I had this telephone EQ frequency with a little bit of wobble, a little bit of distortion, and then did the same for the drum track underneath. The benefit to using RC20 is you can mess with the width, and a great technique to use in the introduction or transition of a song is automate the width, so something goes completely mono and then very wide before you jump into the main part of your song. My introduction sounds like this. I've got the swell there, and that's just on that verb shot layer, and I've just reversed the chord, of course. So this obviously adds a little bit of character and informs the listener as to what's coming, and also saves you using like a reverse cymbal, reverse noise, that kind of thing. And then what you may have noticed is this little introduction from the pizzicato strings. And this is going to come back like a motif throughout our song. Until the very end of the song, where I've introduced a whole string section to copy those pizzicato strings. Now, the things that I'm most happy about in this track are the drums. So let me show you the drum track. This is what it sounds like alone. So there's a couple of samples that are used here, and this is my main sample that I've chopped up. And this kind of changes throughout the song, the places of the snare and the kick and how many ghost notes I use. But it's sounding kind of sloppy, and it's sounding kind of soft as well. There's not much attack there. But the overall character of the drums are really, really nice. So what I did was got this Manny Fresh kick here and doubled that up on the places of the kicks. And then I got another sample from Splice and put that on top where the snares occur to again give a bit of character and a bit more attack. Now you've probably noticed that there's multiple groups here, and I'll explain those. So we've got our main sample, and then I've layered up. So on my main sample, it goes to this drums group. And what I've done is taken off all of the sub frequencies, a little bit of the mids, and some of the highs. So that keeps everything together and allows these two elements to sit on top. And then what I've done is taken all four elements and added it to one final group. And the drum bus is really gluing all the sounds together and giving it that kind of sampled vinyl feel as well. Without the drum bus, my drums sound like this. And with the drum bus, it sounds like this. So it's subtle, but it's taken off some of that harsh tone and just kind of compressed and glued everything together. So I was really enjoying that, and I just wanted a bass line to sit with this as well. So I've got quite a busy bass line, and it sounds like this at the minute. So I'm just using the Contact Scarby pre-bass to give it that live feel. But before I added any plugins, it sounded like this. And you can probably tell it was a little bit too twangy and had a little bit too much fret noise there. So we added the EQ, put it in mono with the utility, and then added our bass to bring it out of the laptop speakers, phones, that kind of thing, to make sure that it was audible. Got some noise at the bottom here. And obviously arrangement wise, we're switching it up by having a more minimal bass line. Taking the drums out, bringing them back in, taking the bass out, bringing it back in, and, you know, switching between the different tracks that I have my guitar set on. Then we get to the end, and like I said, we've kind of got this motif going with the strings. So I wanted that to play out at the end, and I've used the strings that come with the new Ableton 11 pack, and I've also coupled this with the contact strings, and I've panned all of these so you get some different characteristics as if there was a small quartet playing along with the music, and we've sampled it. And then I've grouped these all together, added RC20, and the reason for this is, as well as setting the wobble on and distortion to give it that kind of vinyl feel, I've also automated the EQ cutoff here so that as the strings play, it gets a little bit brighter, so again, it's not as startling for the listener when there's a new element added. And it just tapers off and fades out there and starts again. I'm going to let this track play out in its entirety so you guys can have a listen to it. As always, if you want to look at the stems of this audio project, they're over on my Patreon, patreon.com/TheWillHatton. But before we play this complete track out, I just want to say a quick word from our sponsor, DistroKid. Do you guys want to release your music on all of the streaming platforms? Well, DistroKid makes this possible. You can get your music heard on Apple, Spotify, Amazon streaming services, and even TikTok and Instagram. They have a handy hyperlink function that you can put in your Instagram bio, and your audience is transported there where they can pre-save your music and you can collect their emails too. If you're working with collaborators, they have this brilliant Teams function where you can create splits between your collaborators and retrospectively look and edit these splits to see how much money has been made during that release. Of course, when using the Teams function, your collaborators will also need a DistroKid account, but when you invite them to the platform, they get 50% off. If you'd like to start releasing your music, then make sure you use the link in the description below and you'll get a discount. So there we have it, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope maybe it inspired you to make some different kind of hip hop, ones that don't feature rattle hats and 808s. If you're new to this type of hip hop, let me know in the comments below. Do you prefer it to the trap sound? Is there a different kind of subgenre that you want me to feature on this channel? Let me know in the comments below. This project can be found at my Patreon, patreon.com/TheWillHatton, and anything that I've mentioned in this video or previous can also be found in the description below. For now, guys, I thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.